Hi, everyone. This is Mayor Shawyn Patterson Howard. I want to wish a happy Father's Day to all of the incredible men in the community, whether you're a father, an uncle, a godfather, a big brother, a cousin, a mentor, someone who is just speaking positive into the lives of our young people. As a man, I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. So tonight we have a few guests with us, and we're going to have some maybe jumping in and out. Because it's Father's Day, the restaurants are kind of open, backyards are open, and we have a lot of fathers who are being celebrated. So we had some people who weren't able to make it tonight, but we're going to go with this. We have here our Minister Arthur Muhammad. He is one of our guests, and we also have Mr. Daniel Terry, who is also a guest tonight. Usually he's producing the show, but when I said we wanted to talk about fathers, he said, can I be a part of this? We have, there's been the narrative out there for so long, that not many fathers are involved in their children's lives, and especially Black fathers. And to the contrary, we're finding, a lot of fathers who are involved in their children's lives. And we want to just celebrate fatherhood tonight. So we want to start off with you, Minister Arthur. Minister Arthur, you are the father of 4 beautiful young women. And, and I know you were trying for that boy, but you have 4 beautiful young women who are college educated, who are professionals, who love their dad and their dad loves them. So, just talk to us about, give us some wisdom on fatherhood, whether you have girls, boys, but some wisdom on fatherhood. Tell us about your dad and what shaped you into a dad and what advice you have for dads, because I know you have to jump off after a while.
Wow. First of all, thank you again, Sister Shawyn, for the incredible job that you are doing in the city. You make us proud. And thank you for inviting me once again on your platform, Sundays with Shawyn, that is just growing and it's diverse. I love it. Again, keep up doing the good work. And of course, peace to my brother, Daniel Terry. When we hear the word father, Father, it sounds just like the word father, Father. And that's kind of a hint of the role of the father, because a father is supposed to further or father the child's destiny with a pinpoint precision plan. Fathers don't think so much of the present as they think about the future. So when you talk about the 4 young ladies, you have to understand that I had to anticipate where I wanted them to go and determine what I and my wife needed to do in order to get them there. As a result, there's a saying that prior proper planning prevents poor performance. I, as you know, Sister Shawyn, because we grew up 2 doors from each other, I came from a very supportive mother and father. So I've always had a father in my life. So I know the role of protector, provider, guide. And my advice that I give to my younger fathers, Nas, I think in this song, All I Need Is One Mic, he said, be conscious of how we raise our daughters. So when we talk about the talk for Black men is different from the talk from Black women. Black men, the talk is what to do to prevent yourself or to encounter a police, to survive a police encounter. The talk for girls is what boys to stay away from and what things to look out from. So one of the things that dads have to do is to prevent them from the pitfalls. And now, last thing I want to say before I give it back to you is that fathers have to be forgiving. Many times we expect perfection in our children because we invest so much, and we have to prepare ourselves for the eventuality, for the probability, the possibility of a fall, a stumble, and we cannot judge them. We have to have enough spirituality and forgiveness. The scripture says in the prayer, forgive us as we forgive those. But when we are unwilling to forgive our children, we don't give them an opportunity to grow. And many people grow by making mistakes.
That is so true. So, what advice do you have for younger fathers, fathers in their 20s, fathers in their 30s? I mean, we're in our 50s now. What advice do you have for younger fathers who are trying to figure it out? Fathers who might be maybe not with the mother, but still wanting an active role in their children's lives.
The greatest investment that you can invest in, greater than stocks and bonds, greater than, Bitcoin, is investing in your children. Because when you invest in your children, I know a lot of guys, unfortunately, they look fly, they sharp, they shining, they bout it, they flossing, but their children look raggedy.
Mm.
And you get no props when you do that. I just did a funeral for Jerry Jones Sr., the father of Latoya, Tanya, Sheila, Jerry, and Lorenzo. And I don't remember 5 times that I've known Mr. Jerry since the 1970s that I've seen him outside of his work uniform.
Mm.
He was like JJ, I mean, not the JJ Evans, what was the Evans dad, the father's name on Good Times?
James.
He was the James Evans of Mount Vernon. But he worked so that his family could have. He worked so his sons could have DJ equipment, his daughters could have bicycles. And he gets more respect than a brother that got matching, Humburg hats with their quarter fill or their sheepskin jackets. You know what I'm saying? So the best investment that you can do is invest in your children, and it'll come back to you, particularly when we get older, particularly when they have gifts and skills. Because one of the things that I hate so much is when there's so much acrimony, so much angst, so much hatred in children for their father because they didn't make the investment. The investment does not necessarily have to be monetary when there's no finances in the game, but you can invest in your time, skill, gift, and talent. Teach your child how to drive if they're driving age. Teach them how to ride a bike. Teach them how to change a tire. Knowledge, that transferable skill. Someone will always say, my daddy taught me how to do that. I remember my father taught me how to do this. So, I understand it can be very difficult working in the school system. I know that there are times when the mother is the custodial parent. The mother is the parent of record. And many times they refuse the school even reaching out to the father for any type of assistance. I know it's difficult, but you got to find a way, even if you have to get an intervention with someone, even if you got to arrange for supervised visits, investing time and quality time in your children, there's no replacement for that. Many times dads try to start a relationship with their children at 16, at 17, and it's so awkward because they're looking at you from the eyes of a young adult and not as a little person. And what you expect from them, they've already passed that. They've always grown up without you. So just do what you can. Fight, not with your hands, with your mind, with your wisdom. Wisdom is the skillful application of knowledge. Fight to find a way to be with your family.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to, pull in our Mr. Daniel Terry into this conversation. So Danny, tell us about dad, tell us about being a dad, and what are you looking for? What would you need as a younger dad from men who might have some more experience than you to help shepherd you along the way?
Well, me personally, fatherhood definitely started off with young. I had my first kid at 20, like 19, 20. And during that age, I was still angry within myself because just like, Brother Arthur Muhammad said, I had certain resentments towards my father, him being incarcerated for 16 years and me not actually knowing what it was to actually have a father in the household. And so I was kind of forced to pull from my mentors and people around me and stuff like that to try and shape what my opinion of a father was, but not really understanding what fatherhood is. So I had an opinion. I thought I knew, but it wasn't until I actually had a kid that I actually came to understand what it was like to, to be a father and have somebody that really looks to you, as their guiding force. And then, also, we were both young. Me and my child's mother was young. So it was a battle in itself. Us trying to figure each other out, and going back and forth. It would get nasty. It would get bad. But at the end of the day, we grew up, we matured, and we have a beautiful baby girl. And then actually now I have a son, and now I have a son who's turning 1 in what I'm gonna say 2 months now. Yeah, 2 months. And yeah, that's.
How old is your daughter?
Oh, my daughter's 9.
9.
Yeah. So I have a 9 and a soon to be 1-year-old. Yep. And I mean, for me, I think what I can pull from people like Brother Arthur Muhammad, like Howard, and just seeing how they operate and treat their kids, and I pull from that daily, because this is not something that I try to pull it all together and try to formulate best practices for my own kids. That's my thing. Yeah.
So what type of wisdom are you looking for some men out there who might have a little more time in fatherhood than you? What kind of wisdom would you use? I mean, would you look for another man as a mentor to help you walk through this journey of fatherhood?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Henry Terry. I look to him all the time. The way that he treats me, the way that he invests in me so much, and the wisdom that he pours into me daily is just incredible. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit vague. I can't really formulate it, but just the way that he talks to his kids, the way he hugs his sons, that's something that really meant something to me. Like the fact that it was like, I used to think it was weird for a man to hug another man, but and at the same time, it's for that embrace of your father. It's nothing like it. It's nothing like it. It's just that security. Yeah. So just seeing how he loves his kids, and just putting it together.
So I'm going to be a little bit controversial for a second, because I am,
Sure.
and I can't help it. I was raised by a single mother. I didn't meet my father until I was 10. But what I can tell you is that my mother never, ever spoke ill of my father, ever, never. And even when I met him, and he died when I was 18, so I knew him for 8 years. And even when he disappointed me, she still never spoke ill of him. And she never allowed me to really, really speak ill of him. She allowed me to experience my frustrations and my disappointments, but never just like, oh, my father's nothing, he's no one. She was like, Shawyn, your father is who he is. And there are some good things about him that you can glean from, and there's some other things that you don't want to be bothered with. But I'm really, really grateful for that, because she didn't raise me to hate him. She didn't raise me to be angry at him. While he was disappointing, she was not bitter with him. And I think that just really changed who I am. And then when I did meet him, it allowed me to develop whatever level of relationship that we were able to develop. And it was really interesting, because just a few weeks ago, I was talking to a friend, and my father's birthday and my birthday are the same day. I was born on my dad's birthday, May 11th. And so, there are just times that come up that
Minister Farrakhan's, I'm sorry, that's Minister Farrakhan's birthday too.
Yes, I do know. May 11th is a powerful day. It's a powerful day. And so, but like I said, I was really grateful, because regardless of what he and I went through, she never, ever spoke negative about him. And she had it hard. She had to raise me by herself. She had other incredible men like my grandfather and uncles, and then my stepdad, who were in my life, who helped her, my godfather. She created a village of very strong men around me, so that I, would know that I was loved and they could give me guidance. But that's a challenge, because not every woman is able to do that. Sometimes, because of their hurt and their pain, they will speak negatively of their mother. And I'm not saying it's just not always healthy. And so we deal with broken families, and we continue to raise broken families. And it's something that we have to find our way out of. We have to find a way through our pain to make sure that we are helping our children grow in a way that's going to strengthen them and not just anger them.
You know, let me say this, that
So
so much wisdom that your mom employed. In fact, you know, when I try to deal with young fathers, stepfathers, where the biological father is in jail and the son or the daughter longs for their biological, I advise them, listen, buy them a bicycle. You buy it and tell them it's from their father. And you write their father a letter and just say, I bought a bike, but I told them it was from you, because it's important that when you come up, when you come out, you have that healthy relationship with your child and that you can make a greater transition. That's wisdom. You know, the whole definition of family has been redefined. It used to be the nuclear family with mother, father, and the children. Now, you know, they say that when what do you call it, mailmen go to the house and it's a house of five, everybody has a different last name. Because just because of just how we are. But the reality is the principles of family is still the same. It starts with respect. It starts with honoring your word, ensuring that you do all of the things that you're supposed to do so that you can maintain your respect. One thing that I feel that I did right by my daughters. So if the evil accident of time, if I'm crippled, I know that they're going to take care of me. I know it. But I wanted to say something before I have to jump off. And I could say this to you, Brother Daniel, as a younger dad. There are different levels of parenting. You know, parenting a toddler is not the same as parenting a teenager. Is not the same as parenting an adult. And one of the things that you have to do is you have to give them room for adult expression, room for adolescent expression, so that you can relate to them on the level that they're growing to be. Because if you box them as my little girl, but you don't acknowledge the fact that your girl is a young woman, then what happens is y'all have surface conversations. As long as the respect is maintained in terms of you're the patriarch of the family, and that they start from that point, you'll see that they have so much to offer. You know, I'm in now as a dad. My daughters are 19, 21, 23, and 25. I have to offer guidance and I have to offer wisdom. And in order for them to receive it, they have to trust that what I'm saying is coming from a good space and a good place, not from a condemning space. And know that when your child is an adult, even if they live under your roof, they have to have the space to make the decisions to do as they choose, but you hope it's aligned with your wisdom. And again, when they stumble, we got to remember the times that we made mistakes and we stumbled and we were looking for mercy, where we were looking for additional assistance, where we were looking for another chance. And we got to be able to parent from that perspective. Guys, if I can, I'm so sorry to have to jump off, but I seems like, you know, in this COVID era, I'm on more meetings than I was when,
yes,
you know, but that's the new reality, the new normal. I love you, much love. I look forward to being on your show again. Look forward to doing another DJing with the census.
yes.
Oh yeah, Club Census. Yeah.
Yes, I got to get in that club. And God bless you. Peace and blessings, everybody. Thank you so much.
All right, OG.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good. So, Danny.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, what advice do you have for young men out there who are fathers and young men who will be becoming fathers? What lessons have you learned?
Lessons I've learned. Number one, learn how to communicate. You know, I feel like communicating between you and your partner, especially if you're not actually together, that's a big thing. You don't know how to communicate and work on building, a solid foundation that your kid can grow on, then you're gonna, you're gonna keep the cycle going. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna stop. Let's That's the best way I can put it. I see, I'm on Facebook and I see a lot of, like, back and forth. They have an argument with, the mother, their children, or whatever the case may be, or the mother may have an argument with the father, and it's like, all of that stuff don't need to be on Facebook. That's one of the things that I've actually I've experienced in my younger. Hello. I've experienced in my youthful days, and that's the biggest advice is communication. I know I'm being vague. I'm kind of nervous. I play the background. I don't usually do this, but
it's okay, because it's important sometimes for those who play the back to come out in front, because what you have to say makes a difference also to your peers, to those who are older than you. You have something to say, and we always want to make sure that we provide you with a platform to say it. This is Father's Day, and we called in Miss Cynthia Turnquest Jones, who just popped in, and Cynthia talks about her dad all the time. She talks about her father all the time, and has an incredible relationship, love affair, all of that with her dad. And I think it's really important for us, even as Black women, to talk about the important role that fathers play in our lives, because not all of us have experienced having a father who is active all the time. And when you have, it's something that you have to cherish. So Cynthia, tell us about Pops.
Hey everyone. So I grew up on Seneca Avenue here in Mount Vernon, and had the pleasure of being in the presence of dads. So my dad, Patrice Wallace, her dad, Adam Holmes, his dad name was Jesse. My uncle, Neville Burgess, another dad. We were surrounded by dads. O'Brien, Uncle Obi, also another dad. We were surrounded by dads. King George dad, Brother Snell. We were surrounded by dads. Dave Clark dad. My father called him Clarky. We were surrounded by dads, and I'm telling you that they were very tight, and they cherished us as children. They hung out with us. I just posted something on my cousin's page. One day somebody came and stole my cousin's bike, and my father put all of us in the car. Right? Now, he had a couple of drinks, but he put us all in the car. And he rode around Mount Vernon searching for that bike, and he found it, put it in the trunk, and drove us back to the house and kept it pushing. But he accepted me as I am, as I came to him. Walked to school with me, was always there for parent-teacher night conference, always wanted us to do well, and always told us to do well. I have letters from my dad that he writes to myself, and he writes to my sons, and we're talking about a sawed-off shotgun, hand on the pump type of dad. And he wrote a lot of love letters to my brother when he was in college, and I've seen him cry. So we're talking about a man of courage. We're talking about men of courage, right? To have courageous conversations with them. I know that Brother Arthur just left, but I know that when the Honorable Hafiz Muhammad, the other day, he wrote, "I miss you so much," And so I was talking to Sean about us prematurely making boys into men. Telling boys, you're the man of the house now. And they're like 13 years old. They're not.
They're not.
We talk about how they do that to girls, but they do it to boys also.
Mm-hmm.
You know, telling them that they shouldn't cry. It shouldn't have any feelings. You know, man up. There's an author by the name of Jason Reynolds. If anyone have sons, perfect author for boys, and he talks about how we build these bricks, right? And so then that's when you get videos of boys throwing girls into the trash, right? Nonchalant, not caring, not saying I love you. You're not telling them that I love you. You know, I was on 149th, where was it? 145th and Adam Clayton Powell the other day. I think it was yesterday.
Yesterday.
We were talking to the youth. We were talking to the young Divine Nine, the young Deltas and Sigmas and things of that nature. And I told them, I said, you know, y'all need to start loving the black man. Because, you know, I some people may not like what I'm getting ready to say, but, you know, the white man go and burn down the whole village and come home at night and get into bed, and his woman and the people in that house love him. And they iron out his Ku Klux Klan outfit, and they still love him. Why are we not loving our black men? And so I know that love plays a major, major role, because love is powerful. Love gives you the chance to correct, to tell somebody that they're wrong, you know? And the boys that I am in school with, they know that I love them, and that's why I am able to tell them that they shouldn't do certain things. So we have to increase the love, man. And that's why I continually say, I've been wearing the Dear Black Man, I Love You shirt since Eric Gardner was murdered. And I love you, Daniel.
Thank you. I love you too,
bro. I love you.
So I mean, I think something like really epic is about to happen, because my husband, who always plays the background but is really in the forefront, has just literally at this minute consented to come in. Oh my goodness. Like, this is incredible. Doesn't happen.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So I sent it to you, Mr. Howard. So, you know, look, I've been married for 32 years. And as I said, I grew up as a single, you know, with single mom. I had my stepdad in the house. My father was around for some years, but, you know, not always the best thing, you know, happening. And so when I was dating, one of the things that attracted me to my husband is just his sense of family. You know, he also came from a single parent household, but he was very focused on being a good son to his mother. He was like the uncle's uncle. He's the baby in the family and had a lot of nieces and nephews. But, you know, through our time dating, everyone was like, Uncle Marvin, Uncle Marvin. And I said, he's going to make an incredible father. And so, you know, more than just him taking care of me, I knew he would be someone who would really, really take care of our children if we were married and had children. And, you know, look, he hasn't disappointed. And while I have always worked lots of hours, regardless of whether I was a social worker or administrator and now mayor, I worked a lot of hours. And so honestly, Marvin has always been the primary parent in our house when it came to our daughter, Nia. And to watch their relationship, you know, and it was really interesting. People would say, oh, she's a daddy's girl. I was like, exactly. She really is a daddy's girl. And I love that. I love that she's a daddy's girl. I love the fact that she has a father who is in her life and who is active, and she can benefit from some things that I may not have benefited from at her age. And so as a mother, I've never been jealous of the relationship that she has with her dad. It's something that I've encouraged and I've pushed. And I've sat back and I've watched it grow and thought it was amazing, you know, but there are other people who feel like the daughters are supposed to be closest to their mom. I think having a strong man in the life of a woman, of a young woman, is very valuable. It's not just the young men that need strong, active fathers. It is our young woman. Oh, look who's here. Hi, Marvin Howard.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, everyone. So, Marvin, I just shared with them. I don't know, we're in a different room. Let me turn mine down a little bit. Hold on. Is that better? Okay. So, Marvin, you know, we've been married for 32 years. You are Nia's absolute favorite parent. Tell us about how you developed your philosophy around fatherhood and why your relationship with your daughter and then so many other young people is so important.
I guess that's an interesting question. How I developed my relationship around fatherhood, I guess just being in my neighborhood. While my father was present in my life, he wasn't necessarily in the house. I did have a relationship with him. And a long story short, I learned probably more about him after he passed and listening to his mother kind of talk about how he grew up. So that kind of showed me how he worked and how he operated as a father. While he wasn't physically in the house, he was always available. He was there. I could call on him and, you know, he would be there for me. For me, it was important for me to be a part of my child's life. Something I always wanted to do is just to make sure I was always there. I want to, you know, having nieces and nephews, you know, growing up being the youngest, I had older siblings, so they had kids, and I'm, you know, always dealing with them. So I was always comfortable around children. Their fathers were pretty good, you know, but relationships, different things happen, But I always wanted to make sure that I was a part of my child's life. So that was very important to me. And it's just funny, this Father's Day, I've been thinking so much about the community and like different people in my community, the fathers who I just remember, you know, them taking care of their family and just giving us examples of what we should do as parents. Like you said, being there for your family, you know, working 2 and 3 jobs, you know, making sure the kids have everything that they need. So those things were just very important to me.
So one of the things that I absolutely loved as Nia was small is Marvin read to her. He got on the floor and he played with her, and he does that with our godchildren. We have like combined, I think we have like 30 something godchildren. We got married before most of our friends, so as everyone had children, we just became the default go-to godparents for so many. But you know, the literacy sin, I know you love that. Marvin is the king of Dr. Seuss and anything that he could read to Nia, and doing it in a way that was animated. And then when she was like 3 or 4 years old, he would take her on dates. He would take her on literal dates. He would take her out to restaurants and he would let her order. And as she got older, he did the same thing for her because he wanted her to know how she should be treated as a young woman by a man. And so her first date, her first love affair, the first man that she ever fell in love with was her daddy. So to sit back and look at that and watch him teach her how to ride a bike and to go to her different events in school and to support her with the Girl Scouts and whatever he did, you know, was just amazing and was something that I was always so grateful for, because that intimate relationship, that emotionally and mentally intimate relationship with your child and your daughter at a young age is important. You know, now he is at the point where I'll never have to worry about her letting a guy treat her wrong. I think her daddy might have ruined her a little bit because her standards are so incredibly high. And I'm not talking about monetarily, but she has a standard around what she expects in a relationship. And no one is going to come below that because her father said it to her in a way that she's never going to allow anyone to compromise that.
I mean, I think it's very interesting and very different having a daughter. I mean, I know Minister Arthur was on, he had 4 daughters, and it's like, bruh. Because as men, we know how we were when we were teenagers. You know, we know how we acted, and we know the things that we did, you know, as far as dating and stuff like that. And the last thing you want is for someone to come and mistreat your daughter. What's also important is that we need to start teaching our sons those same things. You know, you should not be out here mistreating, you know, a young lady. If you're dating someone, you should treat them with respect. You should know how to act, should know how to dress, you know, different things like that. But, you know, as a father of a daughter, it's like, you know, certain things you don't want them to have to experience. So, you know, for me, it was just very important for her to kind of understand, like what a relationship should look like. You know, like say you're going out, you know, not to saying that every date is going to be at a fancy restaurant or this or that, but just certain things that you should expect from someone who's, you know, who you're dating or doing something like that.
Danny, any thoughts? I mean, because you have a princess, you have a young lady.
Oh yeah. My daughter is a very interesting character. I'll tell you that much. And she has such a big personality that you know, it's a whole new person every day. Like and she's just so animated. I mean, like the best thing that I can think of is I'm sorry, I'm nervous and I'm getting a little bit sidetracked. So let's move on. All right, bro. If Marvin can do it, I can do it. Let's go. But no, like I mean, from the moment that she was born and I looked in her eyes, I was just like just scared. I remember just being absolutely scared, like because I know the type of things that you know, go on in this world, and I just thought, how can I protect her? And at the same time, I was about to leave for the Marine Corps, and it was a very interesting time. But when I came home and you know, she was there, she's waiting for me, like just look in her eyes, it made me want to go so much harder. And so my drive every day is for her. I just think about that smile of hers, and that, you know, just the thought of, you know, just hearing her say daddy, you know, it's my driving force every day.
I mean, I think the first time I met your princess was back in 2016. I think it was National Night Out.
Can I mute?
Okay. I think the first time I met your daughter was at National Night Out back in 2016 over in Leicester Towers.
Yes.
And she was just like all over you. But I'd had an opportunity to see you walk her to school. I had an opportunity to see different pictures that you posted. And we had an opportunity to talk about being, you know, a younger father, trying to find your way back home from the military, making sure that you had a quality relationship with her, and that you were laying a foundation for her as a young lady. And like you've always said, she has a big personality. She is her own person, you know, and little girls, it's not like you could just wrestle with them. You got to talk to
Not at all. Yes.
She is precocious. She has a lot of questions. She is very smart and she is very mature. And that's definitely, you know, challenging, but that's kids. Kids are not stupid. They are much smarter than we give them a lot of credit for. And so we have to have conversations with our young people because they have a lot of questions. I mean, have you had conversations with your daughter about what's happening in the media and the news? She's 9. Is she looking at any of this right now?
She's 9 and she pays none of that. It doesn't exist in her mind at all. What does exist is she knows that her mommy and her daddy are not together. So the question that she has asked me is, you know, why aren't you and mommy together? And you know, that's the hardest question to answer sometimes. You know, it's like I had to really sit with her and explain to her that, you know, sometimes things don't work out, but that doesn't mean I'm not your father still. That doesn't mean I'm not going to still be there for you. You know, and then she asked me, you know, why don't you have a girlfriend? And then I'm like, well, that's a conversation we'll have one day. But I can tell you one day, you know, when that day does come, that it won't change how much I love you. It will never change your place in my heart or where I see you, and I will always love you the same, and that will never change. That will never falter. I took it out to I'm not sure. Are you familiar with Launchmat Manor?
Yes.
That over there. Yeah, I had to take her for a nice long walk over there. So, and we had that conversation pretty much the entire time over there. And she was just she was just scared that she might lose me if I did get a girlfriend, and I had to make sure that she would never feel that.
And that's important. Like I said, daddies are their daughter's first love. They fall in love with you before they'll fall in love with any man. And all of their relationships going forward will somehow be influenced by the relationship they have with the father that is in their life or not in their life. Oh, we have Mr. Dwayne Brown who
What's up? Happy Father's Day, my two guys.
What's up, man? Happy Father's Day.
What's up?
Yo, how's DJ?
DJ's good. DJ's good. It's Father's Day and I had 2 birthdays this weekend, so my weekend's filled.
Your weekend's filled. So Dwayne, how many kids do you have?
4.
4. And what are their ages?
23, 14, 9, and 7.
Well, you passed the test. You look like you said, let me calculate this in my head. I have to get in trouble. Look like
you that get me in trouble. 3 girls and 1 boy.
Yes, 3 girls and 1 boy. I mean, so tell us about fatherhood. Tell us about your experience in fatherhood. You have a 23-year-old, but you also have, a 9-year-old. And how has fatherhood changed over the years? Have you grown? What influenced how you father and how you parent? And what advice do you have for some younger fathers out here who are still finding their way in this fatherhood journey?
I mean, fatherhood definitely helped me become a better man because, Mike, I had a kid young too. Like, damn, I had my first kid when I was 20. That's the gap between the 23-year-old and the 14-year-old. I waited 10 years for another one because the first 10 years was, it was a learning battle. We was young, same thing. We had to find our way, find the common ground. But, fatherhood just changed me tremendously, man. I have 4 kids. They all different. They all have different energies and different vibes. And, I'm just there to support them and make sure I can be a good role model to them at the end of the day. I didn't grow up with my parent in the household. It affected me until I was in my mid-30s. I didn't realize it until it was just family conversation was said. But it affected me for years. So advice I give to fathers is stay in your kids' lives because not having a father definitely affected me I was angry till my 30. I got unangry at 30 about not having my father in my life. Real talk.
How did that happen? I mean, how did you stop being angry about it?
How did I stop? Just conversation with my mother. She told me, we had a family discussion. She told me my origin and how I came about. And I couldn't be any mad anymore when she loved me unconditionally with what she went through having me without putting her business out there so much. She was 18. Sexually assaulted is a strong word. I wouldn't say that, but, she had me at a time where it's tough to have me. So, and she loved me unconditionally. So at 30, when she told me the story of my origin, where I come from and the background, then I had to let it go. You know what I mean?
That's important. So, what are some best practices? What are some things that you do with your kids that you feel is helping to shape them? And what advice would you give to fathers who are early in the game of fatherhood?
I mean, every generation changes, so I can't get away with anything that I can't lie. I can't be. Google stops you from being a bullshit artist to your kids. Once you put a talent in front of your kid, you no longer can pretend one thing. My kids know everything. So I can't raise my kid how I was raised. That would be a losing battle. I take some of the things my mother instilled, but I give them a lot more free now. I give them their independence to just to grow. So any advice I give to fathers is you gotta meet your kid halfway. You can't just, I'm the adult, do what I do if you're not doing right, because kids point that out. You know what I'm saying? My son, I mean, you're full of it. You told me you was doing this, you didn't do it. Mommy's always cooking. Why you don't cook? They see things, so you just got to be honest with them as much as possible. That's what my advice would be to anybody having a kid, and kids is a blessing. It's a true blessing. Stay in your kid's life every day.
And that's something you just said struck a nerve for me. I mean, growing up, we were so much into gender roles when it came to parents. Mom does this, dad does that. Mom cooks and cleans, dad goes out. But now, all of that's thrown out. That's a mess.
Oh, that's a mess. And especially as fathers.
Doing much more now.
Yeah, and I'm sure the two other gentlemen on the line will agree with me. You can't want your daughter to be successful while you keeping another woman unsuccessful. You know what I'm saying? You can't have it. You can't have it both ways, Captain. You know what I mean? So you gotta be. If you want your daughter to be successful as a man, you gotta stand with a woman and not be afraid for your wife or your girlfriend to be successful, because you don't want nobody holding your daughter down. So there's no gender roles. Be successful, and same thing for my son. Be successful, and if he likes dancing and he likes baking, so I don't shun him from that neither. On the flip side of it, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Any more questions, guys? Thoughts for the audience? Any questions, Malcolm? No, I don't see any questions. I mean, look, we just wanted to come on. I'm not going to hold you much longer, but we just wanted to make sure that we acknowledged fathers, that we shared some wisdom and advice. I can tell you, I want to give a shout out to my grandfather, Edward H. Patterson, who I guess was my first dad. I want to give a shout out to John Lockett, who was my stepdad and is an incredible grandfather to my daughter, Nia. I definitely want to give a shout out to my godfathers, James Finch, because when I talked about the village that was around me, these were men who imparted into my life. My uncle, James Williams as well, who's also known as the artist Bujo. These were just men who were in my life growing up. Mr. Dillard, Mr. Ryan, like we said.
Can you give me a discount on one of Bujo's paintings?
I can have a conversation. I'll put you in contact with him. And we had Mr.
That's my guy.
Mr. Dofat lived right next door to us. Mr. Dofat had 9 kids. His wife was African American from Alabama, and he was Chinese. And so Tony Dofat and the whole crew lived right next to us here on 3rd Avenue. So like Cynthia was saying earlier, we had a lot of examples of good men on the block who kind of called you back into order and made sure that they looked out for you. It was the men on the block who really held down the block. And so we still need, and we still appreciate, and we still love our men who are here in the community and who are encouraging us and building us up and giving us direction and sharing their wisdom and putting things on the line for our young people and our younger fathers in the community. And so any closing thoughts, gentlemen?
I definitely want to give a shout out to Dwayne Brown, man, because it's men like him that have uplifted me, and I pull from the people around me. When I first met Dwayne in 2016, he instantly just, took me under his wing and uplifted me, poured into me. And I just want to thank you, man to man, like really thank you, man. I've told you this before, but I really appreciate you just taking me under your wing and, teaching me, the basics of business and entrepreneurship. I really appreciate that. Like, real.
Some people, is my pleasure. I mean, someone done that to me, Coach Rick, so many men. I know Bujar, Mr. Finch. So it's what we have to do. Marvin is what we have to do. So if people help me, you're going to help somebody younger than you, and we're going to keep this going. And that's all we have to do.
Also, with Thomas, Got it.
Yeah,
Shout out.
you know, there's so many of us, man. We're a strong unit in Mount Vernon. So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of, you know, I tell Malcolm every day, you know, you guys are setting the foundation that my son can look up to and say, yo, look, they doing it. So you're leaving no excuse for a black man not to do the right thing. And that's important.
And I have to say this because you are never someone who is no longer needed in the community. You know, men who are 20 are not grown because they haven't learned how to be in their 20s and their 30s. Men at 40 and 50 need those who are in their 60s and 70s to teach them how to transition into that level of life. And so no one is never not needed. People are continuously needed. And you know, we know a few years ago, they said that the greatest time for suicide for men are between the ages of 45 and 55. That's because oftentimes men are hard on themselves and they go into a cave with their feelings because they don't talk to each other. But that's that midlife crisis. And oftentimes if they don't feel that they accomplished what they wanted to accomplish and they realize that they have less time in front of them than they have behind them, you know, who do you reach out to? And so the elders in the community are definitely still needed. And you know, sometimes people weren't good fathers in their early part of their life, and sometimes people weren't good mothers. But as you grow and you learn and you experience life, you have so much to give back. So I would say to men who maybe were not there for their children, but have learned some things and are now older, please turn around and make sure that you reach back because you're still needed. And your experience and your wisdom that you've gained over the years needs to still be imparted into these younger men in our community. Any closing thoughts, Dwayne and Marvin?
Nah, just happy Father's Day, man. I love y'all. I'm going to deal with my kids right now. So I'll talk to you later.
That's great. Thank you. Yes.
I guess the one thing I would probably say is, I mean, the pastor said years ago that we are the 67th book, and the biggest thing you just need to know is people are watching you. So how you act, you know, in your home, in the community, different things, people are watching you. And as men, we can, you know, just make yourself available. Like you say, even if you have someone who's 20 or who's 30 who's struggling, you know, we've kind of been in those situations. I'm 52 right now, so certain situations I've been in, and we can talk to these younger guys and help them get through that, whether it's dealing with the kids or dealing with something with life. So it's just important as men that we make sure we make ourselves available to share our stories, to be honest about it, you know, and just be as helpful as possible so we can definitely help make sure that the next generation coming up is going to have everything that they need.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Danny, for joining us. Thank you, Marvin, for coming out of the background. I owe you on Father's Day, but I really appreciate your input. Look, I know the wisdom that you have, and I know what you do for a lot of young men behind the scenes. And, you know, look, you are an asset. You are a strong part of this partnership. So thank you. And everyone have a good night. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, everyone.
And please, y'all, do not hurt us with the fireworks tonight. Please, please. All right. Thank you, everyone, and take care. Happy Father's Day again.